Okay, in this video we're going to talk about definitions of words that start with the letter P. And our first word is primary key. And the primary key is the unique identifier for each record in a database. So let's take a look at our primary key in our example from our table employees. We'll go to our design view. So this field, employee ID, is marked with the little gold key, and that makes it our primary key. And if we go to our datasheet view, you'll see that it is the column that uniquely identifies each record or row in a table. And some examples of primary keys are employee numbers, which in our case this is an employee number, product number, or a customer number. There are a couple of important things to note about primary keys. One is that they should be unique, and you can see our example of uniqueness. Each number is different, so we never have the same number twice. And the second important thing about them is that they should be meaningless. Meaningless meaning that this is a number that does not relate to any particular detail about these individuals. So the fact that Bob Blake is employee ID number 1 doesn't have anything to do with any of his personal information. So for example, we wouldn't want to use the phone number as their primary key. And a couple of examples of why that could be bad is, say Bob Blake gives up this phone and it goes back into recirculation and someone else picks up that phone number. Say that Joe Jacobs picks up the 307-555-0100 number 6 months or a year from now. Well, now we have confusion in our database because we have two employees, Bob Blake and Joe Jacobs, who are both being identified by the same phone number. So that creates confusion. Using their name would also be a bad idea because, again, we could potentially have two people that have the same name. And a few other examples of bad choices are social security numbers. Now, social security numbers are unique, but the problem is you're using someone's very personal, secure information as the key to identify them in your database, which just is not good practice. Another less than favorable idea is zip codes. Obviously, hundreds, if not thousands or even millions of people could have the same zip code, so it's definitely not unique. And email addresses. Again, with email addresses, it's more about the security issue, but you could potentially have one person that gets rid of an email and another person picks up that email address, and then you have incorrect identifiers within your database. So you can come up with your own identifiers, like a unique employee ID number that you assign, or in our case we used an auto number sequence generated by Access so that we never have to worry about accidentally duplicating numbers, and it will always give us unique numbers. So that's a primary key and how you use it. Our next definition is property sheet. The property sheet allows you to change the settings on a control to modify its characteristics or appearance. So going back into our design view here, our property sheet is over here to the right. So while our field properties are referring to the properties within each field, the property sheet over here is referring to, in this case you can see selection type table properties, so we're referring to the entire table. But that's where your property sheet is to make changes to your table properties. And that's it for definitions starting with P. We did primary key and property sheet.